Module 2, Lesson 1, Lecture 1.1, Setting Up Your Environment. So this entire module is about the C programming language, C, C++. Reason for this is because Arduino is programmed in C++. Really C, but a little bit of C++. So this module is just about C, teaching you C. Now, because of that, we're going to go through C, and actually we won't be talking in this module much about Arduino specifically. We'll just be talking about the C language. And of course, this will all apply. But I'm assuming that your environment, the environment may not be Arduino. This whole module could generically be on a desktop, laptop, or anything. It doesn't have to be Arduino. And in fact, our starting example, the starting program, the program you always start with when you're learning C, is Hello World, okay? Just prints Hello World to the screen. Now, notice I mentioned screen. Arduinos don't have screens. So I'm already assuming that you are using a desktop or a laptop. So I just want to describe for you how you would set up your desktop, laptop environment in order to run these programs, to work with the programs that we're going to talk about. So we've already talked about the Arduino IDE, but that won't be useful for instance, this program where it prints Hello World, because that print doesn't work. The printf statement doesn't work properly on an Arduino because there's no screen. So let's just talk about setting up the environment on a Windows machine, a Mac, or a Linux box. So what you're going to need, basic things you're going to need a text editor and a compiler. Now, notice that the Arduino IDE puts that all together into one tool, right? We need the same things on a Windows machine or whatever platform you're going to use. Actually, I prefer Linux for this type of thing, but whatever machine, doesn't matter. Now, text editor can be any text editor, but if you want to, you could use Word. But you generally want to use a programmer's text editor, one that recognizes programming constructs. So there are plenty of those around. I use GNU tools. GNU tools are free tools, free, just great, free and open source and everything. So I use GNU tools. So I'm giving you links to where you can get appropriate GNU tools. You don't have to use these, but they're nice. So Emacs text editor, I always use that. That's just a text editor. You can type your code in there. GCC C compiler. You can download the C compiler, which you're going to need, C compiler. And also the debugger, GDB, you can download that too. Actually, we're not going to talk too much about the debugger, so you don't have to worry about that. But the text editor and the compiler are useful. Actually, Emacs is a text editor that I've used since way back. Nowadays, I use Notepad++, which is also a GNU tool. Notepad++. Notepad, it comes with your machine. Notepad++ is much nicer. And you can use that too. It's also on GNU.org. So you can get some text editor and a C compiler. That C compiler, GCC, is great, and it's open source and it's great. The text editor, Emacs or Notepad++, they both understand C constructs, so they'll indent for you properly, color things on the screen for you properly, and all that. So they're nice. You can run on Windows. I would say Mac OS and Linux are even easier because Mac OS is actually a Linux. It's actually a version of Linux underneath. So you don't have to install any of this. GCC comes pre-installed on those platforms. Windows, you have to do it separately. That's fine. Now, another way to go, rather than using GCC and Emacs, is to use another integrated development environment, Eclipse. Eclipse is a common one. You can use any one you want, but you could use Eclipse. It's a common one, open source. Now, the difference is, see, the way I write my code, I do everything at the command line. So I'll go to my text editor, type in the code, save the file. Then I'll go to the command line and type in the compile command directly, GCC, give the name of my file. And I'll show you that in the next slide. So that's the way I do it. But a lot of people like to use these IDEs, like the Arduino IDE, that packages everything in one tool. So you type the code into the IDE, and in the same IDE, you click a button that compiles the code, or in Eclipse, it's called building the code, right? So people like to use IDEs like Eclipse, and you can download that and use that too. That's fine. It puts all the tools together in one nice GUI, nice graphic user interface, just like Arduino IDE. You need to run Java virtual environment. So Java runtime environment, you have to have Java installed on your machine because the Eclipse IDE is written in Java. But that's also true of the Arduino IDE, so shouldn't be a problem. You can download it from here or Google it and you can find it. Also, besides using Eclipse, you could also use Microsoft Visual Studio. That's not free. You have to pay money, but you could use that too. Eclipse is nice and free. Okay, so here's an example of writing the code and compiling it and running it the way I do it. So I do it, this is actually what I'm doing in here, I'm doing it in Linux. So I'm running it in Linux, I do everything at the command line. So the top window that you see up there, that is my Emacs window. That's my text editor. And you can see in there I have written my code. That's my program, print hello world. And I've saved it. So I save it to a directory. Then I go to the command line, which is a different window. And you can see that in the bottom, compile and run. Where there I compile the code. You can see I type GCC, that calls the compiler. GCC gave the name of the program, -O, and then after the -O is short for output. It gives the file name that I want the executable to be. I called it hello. So -O hello. So after I do that command, in my local directory there will be a program, a file called hello. And that is my executable. So if I type ls, since this is Linux, ls gives me a directory listing. It shows me what's in the directory and I see there's a program called hello. Note that even though I type ls here, if you were doing this on a Windows machine, you would type dir. Okay, in the command prompt, in the CMD window, you type dir, it does the same thing. If you're on a Mac, then you would also type ls because it's also a Linux box. If you open up the terminal, you would type ls also. So I get the directory and I type /hello. You would think you could just type hello to just run the code, but you have to type / to tell it that to look in the local directory. So you type /hello, it takes the hello program, runs it, and prints hello world, and that's that. So you want to have that whole tool chain installed. You can use the GNU tool chain that I talked about, Eclipse, GCC. You can go with IDE, with an IDE like Eclipse, not Eclipse, Emacs and GCC. You can go with an IDE like Eclipse. You can use Notepad++, whatever text editor you want. But get something like this program running. So you want to install that whole chain top to bottom so that you can just take a piece of code, write it, save it, and execute it like you see there. Thank you.